Eli Carter had never felt so out of place in his life. As Earth's ambassador, he had traveled to many alien planets, but nothing prepared him for the dazzling halls of Zephyra's royal palace. The ceilings seemed to float, glowing with soft blue light. Alien plants twisted up marble pillars, their flowers humming with energy. Everything felt strange, and everyone was staring at him. He glanced at the audience. Hundreds of tall, silver-skinned Zypherans, their eyes reflecting rainbow colors. At the center sat Queen Serena, her posture straight and her gaze sharp. She wore a shimmering robe that shifted with every movement. Around her stood the High Council, all silent, watching Eli. Eli tried to steady his nerves. He was here for peace talks. Earth and Zephyra had been at odds for years, but now there was hope. He wanted to make a good impression. He remembered what his advisor told him. Smile, bow, and keep your hands by your side. The Zypherans are very serious about their traditions. When his name was called, Eli walked to the center of the grand hall. The queen rose from her throne, her silver crown catching the light. She extended her hand, palm out, fingers together, a sign of welcome in Zypheran culture. Eli took a deep breath and, trying to mirror her, raised his own hand. But his mind was racing, and he wasn't sure if he was doing it right. Trying to be respectful, he copied the gesture. But by accident, he spread his fingers into a star shape and touched his forehead before lowering his hand. The room froze. Gasps filled the air. The High Council whispered to each other, eyes wide in shock. Even the queen's usually calm face changed. Her eyes widened, and her mouth parted in surprise. Eli's heart sank. He had no idea what he had done wrong. Was his gesture rude? Offensive? He glanced at his translator, who looked as pale as a ghost. A ripple of unease swept through the crowd. Queen Serena stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. Ambassador Eli Carter, you have performed the bonding gesture before the queen. According to the laws of Zephyra, this is a sacred promise, a proposal of unity that cannot be broken. Eli's mind went blank. He heard the words, but they didn't make sense. He looked around, hoping someone would explain it was a joke, but the Zypherans were serious. He had made a mistake that changed everything. Queen Serena turned to her council. The ritual has been witnessed. The law is clear. We must proceed. Eli's vision blurred at the edges. He had come for peace, but with one wrong move, he was now bound to marry the most powerful alien queen in the galaxy. And all of Earth was depending on what happened next. Eli stood frozen in the middle of the grand hall, feeling every eye on him. His mind spun as he tried to understand what the queen had said. He had performed a bonding gesture. Now, by Zypheran law, he and the queen were to be married. How could such a simple mistake have such a big consequence? Queen Serena spoke again, her voice echoing through the hall. The bonding gesture is the most sacred act among my people. To break it would dishonor both our worlds. She looked at Eli, her gaze steady but not unkind. You must become my partner. If you refuse, Earth will be seen as untrustworthy, and our peace will be broken. The Zypheran Council began to speak among themselves, their words fast and worried. Eli's translator rushed to his side and whispered, Sir, this is no joke. The queen cannot change her mind. If you say no, it will be seen as an insult to the Zypheran people. Eli's mouth went dry. He thought about his home, about the millions of people on Earth who were counting on him. One wrong move could start a conflict that might never end. He felt pressure rising inside him, as if the whole galaxy had grown heavy and was resting on his shoulders. He looked back at Queen Serena. She stood tall, but Eli saw a flicker of something in her eyes. Was it fear? Hope? Maybe she, too, did not expect this day to end in a marriage proposal. Trying to collect himself, Eli bowed deeply, showing respect. Your Majesty, I did not mean to cause offense. On my world, that gesture means something very different. But I understand your laws and your honor. I ask for time to speak with my people before I give my answer. Queen Serena nodded. You will have one day. Tomorrow, you must decide. With that, the queen and her council left the hall, leaving Eli standing alone under the floating lights. He was led back to his quarters by a group of silent guards. The walk was long, and Eli's thoughts were louder than ever. Inside his room, he opened a secure line to Earth. The faces of Earth's leaders appeared on the screen, their expressions full of shock and worry when he told them what happened. Some wanted him to refuse, even if it meant risking war. Others begged him to accept for the sake of peace. Eli listened, feeling more lost with every word. In the end, the choice would be his alone. He sat by the window, staring out at Zephyr's strange twin moons, and wondered what tomorrow would bring. He knew one thing for certain. No matter what he chose, nothing would ever be the same again. Eli did not sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, eyes fixed on the alien sky. He could hear faint music coming from the palace gardens. Beautiful, haunting, and strange. He wondered if Queen Serena was also awake, thinking about the impossible situation they were both in. Early in the morning, Eli's translator brought him a message from the queen. The council is waiting for your decision, she said softly. The whole city is talking about you. Eli nodded, feeling the weight of his choice. He thought about what the leaders of Earth had said. Some told him, your life is not worth more than peace. Others said, you don't have to do this for us. But deep in his heart, Eli knew the truth. If he refused, thousands, or even millions, could suffer. War could begin over a simple mistake. He washed his face, put on his ambassador's uniform, and walked to the council chamber. As he entered, the room grew silent. Queen Serena stood at the front, her eyes unreadable. The High Council waited, their faces tense. Eli took a deep breath and spoke in a clear voice. Your Majesty, council members, and people of Zephyra, I did not come here to break your laws or insult your traditions. I came for peace between our worlds. If my actions mean I must marry the queen to keep that peace, then I will do my duty. I agree to the bonding. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the council members whispered to each other. Some looked relieved, others surprised. Queen Serena stepped forward, her face calm but her eyes softer than before. Your decision brings honor to both our peoples, she said. Let this be the start of a new era. The news spread through the city like wildfire. Eli watched from the palace balcony as Zytherans gathered in the streets, some cheering, some simply curious about the human who would become their queen's partner. It all felt unreal to Eli, like he was living someone else's story. Later, alone with his translator, Eli admitted his fears. I don't know how to be a good husband to an alien queen, he said quietly. I barely understand her language, her world. What if I fail? His translator smiled gently. You already did something brave by saying yes. The rest you will learn together. That night, as the two moons rose again, Eli received a message from Queen Serena herself. It was simple and short. We do not have to be friends yet, but we must try to understand each other. I promise to do my best. For the first time since his mistake, Eli felt a small flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, something good could come from this strange new beginning. The palace was alive with excitement. The wedding between Queen Serena and Eli Carter was not just a private event. It was history in the making. All of Zephyra seemed to be celebrating. Decorations covered the halls, shimmering banners in the colors of both worlds, golden lights drifting like tiny stars above the guests, and music that echoed with hope. Eli felt nervous as he dressed in the traditional Zypheran wedding robe. The fabric was smooth and cool, decorated with patterns he didn't understand. His human friends back on Earth watched through a special broadcast. Their messages of support flashed across his communicator. You can do this, Eli. We're proud of you. He smiled, feeling their encouragement. The ceremony was a mix of Earth and Zypheran customs. Eli was guided by palace attendants who whispered the meaning of each ritual. He walked down a silver path lined with glowing flowers, each step echoing in the grand hall. The crowd watched in silence, every Zypheren curious to see if the human would respect their ways. Queen Serena entered from the other side, dressed in a gown that shimmered with moving light, almost like it was alive. She walked slowly, her head high, but her eyes found Eli's. For a brief moment, they shared a look of understanding. Neither of them had chosen this, but both wanted to do what was right for their people. The high priest began the ceremony, speaking first in Zypheren, then in English so the human guests could understand. He explained the meaning of the bonding, two souls coming together not just for themselves, but for peace between their worlds. Eli and Serena stood facing each other. The priest handed them a crystal bowl filled with water from both planets. Together, they poured the water into a single vessel, symbolizing their new union. The water sparkled with a strange energy, and the room glowed brighter. Finally, they each recited an oath. Eli's hands trembled, but his voice was strong. "I promise to stand with you in peace and in challenge, to learn from you and share what I know. I will do my best to honor this bond." Queen Serena spoke in her own language first, then softly in English. "I promise to accept you, to try to understand your heart, and to guide our people together." The crowd applauded, and the hall filled with a music unlike anything Eli had ever heard. For a moment, he felt the weight of the past few days lift. The ceremony was over, and a new chapter had begun. As the celebrations continued, Eli caught Serena's eye. She gave him a small, genuine smile. It was the beginning of something neither of them could have imagined, a true marriage of two worlds. After the grand wedding, Eli and Queen Serena were led to a private section of the palace, a beautiful suite filled with soft light and sweet scents. This was the beginning of their bonding time, a tradition in Zafara where newly married couples spent days together, away from others, to learn about each other. Eli sat down on a wide, cushioned bench and glanced at Serena, who was quietly arranging crystal flowers in a vase. The silence felt heavy. He wanted to say something clever or comforting, but he couldn't find the right words. Everything felt so different here, and he worried about making another mistake. Serena broke the silence. "Do humans have this tradition?" she asked, her voice calm and curious. Eli shook his head. "Not exactly. On Earth, some people go on trips together after the wedding, but it's usually just for fun. Is this normal for you?" She nodded. "It is meant for understanding. In Zafara, we believe true partnership needs honesty and time. Even if our marriage began by accident, I want to try." Eli relaxed a little. "I want to try too," he said, giving a small smile. The next day, palace servants brought them dishes from both worlds. Eli tasted a blue, jelly-like fruit and tried not to make a face. Serena watched, then bravely tasted some earth food, potatoes cooked with spices. She coughed at the heat, but managed a polite smile. They laughed together, the tension easing just a bit. They took a walk in the palace gardens. The plants were strange and beautiful, glowing softly as night fell. Serena explained the history of her people, showing Eli a tree planted by the first queen. Eli shared stories about Earth, its oceans, forests, and cities full of lights. They found many differences, but also a few surprising similarities. Both their worlds loved music, dancing, and stories of hope. Eli noticed Serena's eyes brightened when she talked about her favorite books. He realized she was more than just a queen. She was a person with dreams and fears, just like him. Still, awkward moments happened. Eli sometimes misunderstood Zypheren customs, bowing too often or using the wrong words. Serena sometimes forgot to explain the rules, assuming Eli knew more than he did. But each time, they tried again, sometimes laughing at their mistakes. At the end of their bonding time, Serena sat beside Eli under the silver-leaved tree. "I know this was not your choice," she said quietly, "but I am glad you are trying." Eli looked up at the twin moons above them. "Me too," he replied. He felt less alone than before. Though their path had started by accident, it now felt like a journey they could walk together, one step, one honest moment at a time. The palace seemed peaceful after the bonding time, but not everyone was happy about the new marriage. Unknown to Eli and Serena, some powerful Zypherans believed the union was a mistake. They thought humans were weak, and they feared their queen's trust in Eli. One evening, Eli was walking down a quiet hallway, thinking about everything he had learned. Suddenly, he heard a strange sound, a soft click, like something moving in the shadows. He paused, looking around. The hall was empty, but the feeling of being watched crept up his spine. That night, while Serena was in a council meeting, Eli sat alone in their room, reading messages from Earth. He noticed a new message, written in shaky Zypheran script. "Leave now, before it's too late." Eli frowned, unsure if it was a joke or a threat. He decided not to tell Serena right away, not wanting to worry her. The next morning, rumors spread through the palace. There had been an attack on one of the queen's advisors. Someone had hacked the security systems and caused chaos in the lower halls. Nobody was hurt, but the message was clear. Someone wanted to disturb the peace. Serena called Eli to her private chamber. She looked tired but determined. "There are some who do not want us together," she said quietly. "They believe this marriage will destroy our traditions. I fear they will try again." Eli nodded, feeling a cold knot in his stomach. "Do you think we're in danger?" Serena hesitated. "I hope not, but we must be careful. I want you to stay close to me. And if you see anything strange, tell me." That evening, the couple attended a special festival in the city square. It was meant to show unity between their worlds. As they walked through crowds of cheering people, Eli noticed a figure in the shadows, watching them closely. When Eli tried to point the person out to Serena, the figure disappeared. Later, a servant found another note in their chambers. "This bond is a lie. The queen belongs to Zephira alone." The palace tightened security. Guards watched every door. Eli and Serena were given secret codes to use if they needed help. For the first time, Eli saw worry in the queen's eyes. But even as danger grew, so did their partnership. They began to share ideas on how to find the traitors. Serena listened to Eli's suggestions, impressed by his calm thinking. Eli admired Serena's strength and cleverness. They trusted each other more, united by the threat. That night, as they planned together in the quiet of their room, Eli realized he was no longer just a visitor. He was part of Zephira now, part of something bigger than himself, and he knew he would do whatever it took to protect the new life they were building together. The next few days in the palace were tense. Guards patrolled every hallway. Eli and Queen Serena spent more time together, meeting with trusted advisors and searching for clues about the traitors. They knew the enemy could be anyone, even someone close to the throne. One afternoon, while examining security reports, Eli noticed something odd. "This record is missing 10 minutes of footage," he said, pointing to a screen. Serena leaned in, her eyes sharp. "Show me." Together, they discovered that the same guard was on duty during each strange event. The guard's name was Selen, and she was trusted by the council. Serena called Selen to the private chamber. "You have always served with honor, but there are questions about your recent actions," she said calmly. Selen looked nervous and refused to meet their eyes. Eli watched closely, searching for any sign of guilt. Selen hesitated, then finally spoke. "I did what I thought was best for Zephira. Many believe this union will bring weakness to our world." Her voice shook. "But I did not want to hurt anyone. I only wanted to send a warning." Serena's voice was gentle but strong. "Zephira needs peace. Change can be frightening, but hatred will only destroy us." Selen broke down, tears shining on her silver skin. She admitted to working with others who still hid in the shadows, planning to cause chaos during the next public festival. With Selen's help, Serena and Eli set a trap. The night of the festival arrived, and the palace square was filled with both Zephyrans and Earth visitors. Eli walked beside Serena, heart pounding, acting as if everything was normal. Hidden guards watched from the rooftops. Suddenly, a group of masked traders rushed toward the queen. The guards sprang into action, but one attacker reached Eli and tried to pull him away. Serena, without hesitation, grabbed Eli's arm and stood in front of him. "He is my partner," she declared. "No harm will come to him while I stand." The crowd gasped as Serena's words echoed through the square. The attackers were quickly captured by the guards, thanks to the plan they had made with Selen. Peace was restored, but Eli and Serena knew the danger was not yet over. Later, as the sun rose over the city, Serena and Eli stood on the palace balcony. "We are stronger together than apart," Serena said, her voice full of hope. Eli nodded, finally feeling like he belonged in this new world. The people below began to cheer, their voices united in support. Eli realized something important. He and Serena were no longer just partners by accident. They were now a team, facing every challenge as one. Their bond, once created by mistake, had grown stronger through every trial. Together, they were ready for whatever came next. After the festival, the palace returned to normal. But Eli and Queen Serena knew trust in their union was still weak. Some Zypherans whispered that Eli was not worthy. Others doubted Serena's decision to stand by a human. To unite their people, the council suggested an ancient test, a public trial of loyalty. Serena explained the ritual to Eli one morning in the palace gardens. "It is called the Path of Unity," she said. "We must face 3 challenges together, each meant to test our courage, trust, and honesty. Only then will the people believe our bond is real." Eli felt nervous, but Serena put her hand on his. "We do this together. Do not worry," she said softly. The first challenge was the trial of shadows. In front of a crowd, Eli and Serena were led into a huge dark maze built in the palace grounds. They had to find their way out, but there were illusions inside, fears made real by alien technology. Eli saw memories from his childhood, times he felt alone and scared. Serena saw herself failing her people. Each time one felt lost, the other called out, offering comfort and reminding them they were not alone. Together, they reached the exit, stronger than before. The second challenge was the Bridge of Truth, a narrow, glowing bridge stretched over a deep, shimmering chasm. As they crossed, questions appeared in the air, personal, difficult questions about trust and the future. Eli admitted his fears of not belonging and his worries about failing Zephora. Serena shared her doubts about being a good queen and her hopes for peace. With every honest answer, the bridge grew brighter, supporting their steps. The crowd watched, silent, and moved by their honesty. The last challenge was the gift of unity. Each had to offer something deeply important to the other. Eli took off a ring his late mother had given him and placed it in Serena's hands. "This is my family's promise. I give it to you," he said. Serena removed a pendant, the symbol of her royal line, and put it around Eli's neck. "Now you are part of my world too," she said. When they finished, the high priest stepped forward and raised their joined hands. "They have faced the path of unity and proven their loyalty to each other and to both worlds," he announced. The crowd erupted in cheers. Even those who had doubted Eli and Serena began to see them with new respect. That evening, as they returned to their rooms, Eli smiled at Serena. "We did it," he said, relief in his voice. She smiled back, warmth in her eyes. "No, Eli, we did it together." Their hearts lighter. They knew they had taken another important step, not just for themselves, but for everyone who believed in a peaceful future. After passing the path of unity, Eli and Queen Serena felt closer than ever. The people of Zephora started to accept their union. Some even sent gifts and messages of hope from both Zephora and Earth. For the first time, Eli felt that Zephora was truly becoming a home for him. But there was still one final task. The traitors who tried to break the peace had not all been caught. Serena and Eli decided to use what they had learned together to find the last conspirators. They worked late into the night, reading messages, checking clues, and listening to whispers in the palace halls. Eli used his human problem-solving skills. He noticed patterns in the messages, hidden codes in the way certain words were used. He shared his ideas with Serena, who then used her knowledge of Sci-Fi history and culture to see what he missed. Together, they made a strong team. After days of careful searching, they found a hidden meeting room beneath the palace. There, the last group of traitors gathered, planning to send a false message to Earth and start a war. Eli and Serena acted quickly, alerting the palace guards and confronting the conspirators face to face. One of the traitors, an older council member, looked at Serena with anger. "You have broken our ways," he said. "Zephyra must never trust outsiders." Serena stood tall, her voice steady. "Zephyra must not live in fear. Eli is not just an outsider. He is my partner and a friend to our people. We choose hope, not hate." The guards arrested the traitors, and the danger finally passed. Word of what Eli and Serena had done spread quickly. People from both worlds celebrated their courage and teamwork. The council offered their full support, and even those who once doubted the marriage now saw the strength of their bond. That night, Eli and Serena walked together in the palace gardens under the twin moons. The air was filled with the scent of glowing flowers, and music drifted from the city below. Eli turned to Serena and smiled. "I never thought I'd feel at home here, but now I do. Thank you for trusting me." Serena looked at him with warmth. "Thank you for never giving up. Together, we have built something new for both our worlds." As they stood side by side, Eli realized how much had changed since his first day on Zephyra. He was no longer just a stranger or an accidental partner. He was a true part of something bigger, a future built on trust, understanding, and a bond that no mistake could break. With hope shining in their hearts, Eli and Serena were ready for whatever the future would bring, united not just by a gesture, but by a real partnership. Eli and Queen Serena's story soon became famous across both worlds. News spread quickly about how their marriage had started with a simple mistake, but ended up saving two civilizations from war. People on Earth and Zephyra began to celebrate their union as a symbol of hope and peace. The palace was filled with visitors, scientists, artists, and leaders from both planets who wanted to see the new couple and learn how they had created such strong unity. Many asked for advice, wanting to know how two so different could work together as one. Eli and Serena worked side by side every day. They planned new programs for students to visit each other's worlds. They set up meetings to help solve problems that affected both planets, such as trade, science, and the environment. They also made sure that all decisions respected the traditions of both their people. One morning, Serena invited Eli to the royal garden. The garden was more beautiful than ever, full of rare flowers and singing birds. "There is something I want to show you," Serena said with a smile. She led Eli to a new tree planted in the center of the garden. Its leaves sparkled in the sunlight, a mix of Earth's green and Zephyra's silver. At the base of the tree, a plaque read, "Planted in honor of peace and understanding. May it grow forever." Eli felt a wave of happiness. "It's perfect," he said, "a living symbol of what we've built together." As days turned to weeks, more people from both worlds visited the tree and left wishes for a peaceful future. Young students read about Eli and Serena's journey in their lessons. People who once feared each other now exchanged messages of friendship. One evening, a celebration filled the palace. It was the anniversary of the peace agreement. There was music, laughter, and dances that mixed Earth and Zephyran styles. Eli and Serena danced together under the twin moons. They laughed, remembering their awkward first meeting and how much they had both changed. After the celebration, Serena looked at Eli with gentle eyes. "We may have started by accident, but we finished by choice," she said softly. Eli squeezed her hand. "I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you for believing in us." As they watched the stars above, Eli and Serena knew their journey was only just beginning. Together, they had turned a simple mistake into something beautiful, a true marriage for the ages. Their partnership inspired many to believe that even the most unlikely beginnings could lead to the greatest futures. From that night on, the world saw them not just as a queen and an ambassador, but as symbols of hope, unity, and the power of understanding.